Mhm.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Well, we are live. This is very exciting and our first inaugural Reshaping Working Parenthood Roundtable series. We are very live, so very, very exciting. And I'm super excited to welcome our panel. We have an amazing panel today. We had a slight change up from previously. We had one of our ladies go and have a baby. So we have two amazing new voices joining us today, and I will let them introduce themselves. For now, I'm Alexa Starks, and I created this series because I believe that working parenthood isn't just a personal journey, it's a leadership journey, it's a cultural journey, and it's a journey that so many of us go on and all experience so many similar things and similar struggles and challenges. And the systems that we all work through weren't really designed with parents in mind. And so it's time to change that and bring a lot of our expertise and expert voices together to really create that change. So each month in this series, I'll be joined by incredible voices like other leaders, parents, other change makers, business owners, and we'll unpack different realities, challenges, and actionable insights into working parenthood and explore how we can really reshape workplaces, leadership, and even our own definitions of what success looks like and what balance looks like and all of that. So today's conversation is called Reshaping Working Motherhood, Redefining Leadership and Career Goals Across Life Stages. So, from pregnancy through postpartum to toddlerhood to whatever comes after toddlerhood, young kids, and then teenagers. Every stage of motherhood and parenting brings not only challenges, but opportunities to rethink who we are as leaders and how we design our careers. So I'm really honored to have our panel of amazing speakers and experts here with me today. We'll be talking about stories, strategies, bold ideas on what it really takes to thrive as a working mom in the corporate world today, and how these lessons of what we've experienced and our expertise can help build workplaces that actually work for other working moms and working parents. So I'm going to get started with some quick introductions from each of our guests. I would love to go around and please introduce yourselves, tell everyone what you do, where you are in your parenting journey, and let's also do like one thing that's surprising about you that others don't know. So I'm going to kick it off just in the order that I have on here. Brittany, you're going to go first, please.
I knew I was going to get called on first. Well, hi, my name is Brittany Holden. I am a mom of two. I have a 4-year-old and a 6.5-month-old, both girls. I work in HR. I've been in HR for the last 12 years. Wow. And I'm also a transformational coach and just really passionate about helping um, moms transition into this new identity of a working mother. And what does that look like? And what does that mean? And processing through a lot of those feelings and fears and struggles that come up. Um, Fun, interesting fact, I was a birth doula for a minute. And that really got me started on my like burning passion for moms. I had actually never I was a birth doula before I actually had a child, so
Wow.
I had never seen a baby be born before. That was and she didn't know she was my first ever client 'cause I didn't tell her, and it was pretty formational, and
I love it.
also, it was, like, the most amazing experience ever.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super happy to have you here, Brittany.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to kick it over to you, Gina.
I am Gina Young. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am a freelance web designer and strategist, and I have about 17 years of background in marketing leadership at the director, co-owner, and co-founder level of small businesses. And I have a 2.5-year-old and a kindergartner. And
Mhm.
yeah, when my oldest was about 3, I made the switch into freelance work. And something fun about me, I love stand-up paddleboarding, and
Ooh,
like I love the water. I don't know, I love spending time on it, and I don't think a lot of people know that. It's like I go on little like river excursions, and yeah,
how
really,
adventurous. I love
yeah, it really
that.
brings me peace. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Mhm.
Well, happy to have you here. And Sydney, I'm going to kick it off to you.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. My name's Sydney Hughes. I am the founder and CEO of the Colorado Career Academy. I'm a career coach, and I specialize in kind of two buckets with my work. I do one-on-one coaching with moms where I help them find positions that match where they're at in their life. Very similar to Brittany, that there's such a transition that happens when you go from just being in your career to becoming a mother, and oftentimes what we were doing before doesn't necessarily fit anymore, or we don't need the same things. And so I work with moms to get them into the right positions so that they can have the flexibility they need, the schedule they need, the hours that work for them. They feel valued, supported, kind of all the things across the spectrum to really make sure that we're not just in a job, we're in the right job. So that's kind of one bucket. And then the other area that I specialize in is working with teams on team optimization and employee engagement. And so within that work, I really help leaders understand how they can help their teams thrive so that we have more engagement and less burnout. So that's what I do for work. I also have two kids. I have a 4-year-old and an almost 8-month-old. So we're very much in the like chaos of motherhood life. It's just like all the things happening at all the times.
Yes.
And I would say, I guess, like something surprising about me. I have survived 2 kids, a master's degree, running a business, and I don't drink coffee. And I think people are always really surprised to like find that out. Like, how do you function? I drink a lot of caffeine. I just don't drink coffee.
What do you drink then?
So I drink tea. I really like chai lattes. And then I drink like not Celsius, but like Neo or the hydration drinks that have energy and stuff like that.
I love a good Celsius. I feel
Yeah.
so much better drinking it than coffee. Coffee makes me really dehydrated. So I feel you on that.
Yeah.
But for a second, I thought you were going to say no caffeine at all. And I was like,
no.
whoa.
I was like, I need to know what your secret is then.
Yeah.
Still highly caffeinated.
Well, welcome, Sydney. So happy to have you here. And last but certainly not least, kicking it to you, Karina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karina Bensko. I am an HR leader. Similar to Brittany, I've been in the HR space now for about 12 years or so. And I have a blend of HR operations that I did for 6 years, scaling HR infrastructure, et cetera. And then I pivoted over to HR business partnerships, where I've been the last 6 years, aligning people strategy to business goals and creating some really cool programs along the way to help employees thrive. And I'm a mom of 2. So I have a 7-month-old and a almost 3-year-old. She turns 3 next month. I don't know how that happened. And so we definitely have our hands full over here. And then a fun fact, or something that might surprise folks, is I can sing. So I've been getting back into singing lately. I've been doing voice lessons and been trying to continue working on my voice. Took a bit of a break for a while there, but now I'm getting back into it, and it's been really fun.
Good for you. Like opera type of singing, or are we talking like, what is this show, American Idol, right? Is that like that?
I'm really into musical theater. So right now, because my daughter loves Frozen, I've been trying to get good at some of those Frozen songs, like Go and Monster from the musical, just to connect with her. And she's actually getting pretty good at singing too.
I love it. That's so cool. Well, welcome everybody. I love having you all here. This is going to be super exciting. I guess I didn't really intro myself, but I am Alexa Starks, CEO of Executive Moms, and I bring corporate workshops to train managers in HR on how to support working moms returning from leave and create parent-forward workplace cultures. And on the side, I occasionally do some one-on-one coaching for working moms on that re-entry transition after maternity leave. And I love that we all have very similarly aged kids. We're all in that young kid sphere. I have a 2.5-year-old and 1.5-year-old. So it's a mix of toddler land and newborn baby land over here. And I love it. Awesome. Well, we're just going to dive right in. So I know, we're all fairly recently out of that postpartum into early parenthood stage. And so this is actually really poignant. So when you think about your own journey through pregnancy and being pregnant, working and postpartum, and now we're in the early parenting phase, what's one moment that you think really shaped how you saw yourself as a leader? I'm going to call on you, Gina.
Yeah, so I have a COVID baby, and so my plans that I made while I was pregnant got completely uprooted and taken down. And there's a lot of isolation and things going on there. I was working remote. I'm still working basically full time, but I've always been like very like, I don't know, empathetic person. And one moment that changed me is just like the urgency in the room of a work meeting, but it's like meanwhile my child is screaming in the background, right? It's like going through that like over and over and over again. I was just like, no, that's urgent. Like it's like feeling my own alarms and signals going off, and like, and then just like the mixed messages or like lack of messages or silence from work on the receiving end of that experience. Yeah, so like that really changed me a lot and made me just think like, what else could I do? Or like, yeah, so I didn't get a call for my oldest until she was 23 months old. So
Oh, wow.
for like help. Yeah. So
It's definitely
yeah.
hard when you have that realization of like, this isn't working for me. This isn't healthy, right?
Yeah. 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 And just how many times I burned a midnight oil to make up for things. And yeah, it was burning me out. And it was just, and I felt it. So like that moment shifted me, just going through that, like on repeat, like trying to make myself available all day when I really wasn't, and not being able to listen to my own, like, not now, Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that's on my end.
Karina, I see you nodding. You get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's less of like a specific moment, but like going through the toddler tantrums and the amount of patience and calm you need to bring to every one of those situations when your kid is in crisis, essentially, and be able to bring that back to how I lead and the way I like to work with employees of, you know, bringing that calm kind of back in there, and also uh, not trying to fix it, which, especially in toddler tantrums. And I think also in our work, you want to fix it, you want to make it better, and you want to make the discomfort go away. And sometimes you can't, but you can at least be in the space with them as they're working through it.
That's a really good point. I want to unpack that for a moment, because I feel like, we've talked so much on LinkedIn about motherhood skills. And I mean, I feel like we could scream about them all day, about the resilience we've got and the patience we've got from toddler tantrums and all of this stuff. And it almost feels like we're trying to prove ourselves, right? Like, look at me, I'm even more resilient. Look at me, I'm still patient. I can still do my job. Look how many skills I have from being a mom. It almost feels like we're trying to prove a point rather than just saying like, look how many more skills I've gained from motherhood. Does anyone else feel like trying to prove it still?
I think too, I was just thinking about this today of how there's several of us who have babies still and are in that first year when it is so hard. Like, it is just so tough, especially when you have older kids, because then you're juggling, you know, two different sets of needs. And I definitely feel like there is this need to prove like, well, even though I have a baby, I can still do all my work. I can still, be the best mom. I can still handle all the tantrums. I can still do all the things. And I do think that that is possible. And I think that we all do that every day. But I also feel like there needs to be space for like, but it's still hard.
Yeah.
It's still a lot. And when you have somebody in the room who has been through it and who has done it before to look to, like, moms just give each other that look of like, I get it. Like I see the kid in the background. I know what is going through your head right now. Like even to just have somebody like that is so important for representation in your organization or your environment, to feel like I'm not alone doing this. I've got somebody else who gets it. And I just think that that's really important too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, I think we've all seen that statistic of what 1 in 3 moms leave their career, leave their job within a year after coming back from maternity leave. And so we end up with less and less role models at the top to look up to and to help set those systems for us and create those workplaces where they get it. So if you need to go take a break because you got to pick your kid up because they're sick, they get it, right? And so I know that's so hard to have that role model. And Brittany, I want to hear from you because you're still fresh in that like early baby phase. So
Yeah.
what kind of systems have really helped you right now to kind of be able to have some of that flexibility or capability to
Yeah.
manage your baby and work at the same time? Or what would you wish you had better?
Yeah. I think there's two things. One, I'm thinking about the way it's always been. And I think there are older leaders who are like, well, I just figured it out, male or female alike. And so you just need to figure it out. And that can be really disheartening when you're like, but I don't know how to figure it out. And then on the other side, I do think that there is a lot more empathy for working parents now because there are so many of them. We have both parents working more so than we previously did. And so I think learning how to advocate for what you need and not being afraid to ask for what you need is really important because I think women might be afraid to speak up or moms might be afraid to say something because they don't want to lose their job or
Yeah.
admit like I can't do this, but I want to do it. So how do I make this work? And yeah, I mean, I'm still in the throes of it, and I think it just accepting my own limitations, right? I can't do everything. And
Yeah.
so either learning how to outsource things that you can if you're able to do so,
Mm.
or just let things go, right? The things that
Yeah.
like mattered when you didn't have kids might not be as important right now, like a perfectly tidy house or you know what, being bold enough, I think, to take the breaks, to do the pickups, to I think set the precedent, right? I think if no one else is doing it, be that person who can, because I'm sure there's a line of women silently standing there watching, going, "Oh, she did it. Oh, okay, I can do it too."
Hmm.
Um,
I
so
love it. Yeah. And I think, that's really important. You talked about having the being able to advocate for yourself. And I know that's what I spend my time doing and helping and moms find the words to advocate themselves and creating the workplaces. Karina, I want to ask you in your experience from an HR perspective, how you've seen that play out in real life in workplaces with working
Mhm.
moms struggling or to advocate for themselves, ask for flexibility, or managers not knowing how to support. What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really around um, being upfront with kind of where those boundaries are, because kind of that's also what it is too. It's like putting that block on the calendar that you say I'm just unavailable, and I think it's not just at the company level; it's also on the team level too. Like you need both, and the and I've seen really it done really well where like the culture is kind of around like having maybe core working hours, for instance, to say, okay, maybe from 10 to 3, that's when most meetings are going to happen. And anything outside of those, we will, do kid pickup. If you're, of course, if you don't have kids, go kind of do
Mm-hmm.
it, of course, do what you need to do. But, please just be available between these hours for meetings, for, collaboration, et cetera. And that goes for both those in remote environments or also in person or hybrid. Um, and also having maybe PTO policies that are either unlimited PTO, or, even though we can have a whole other conversation about unlimited PTO and kind of the pros and cons of that, but just creating ways where everybody's getting some time, and essentially, it kind of helps, I think, maybe get some buy-in from those that maybe not parents, but really do maybe need the time as well.
That's a good one. That's really important. And that's definitely part of what I teach, is like creating a core working hours policy. I wouldn't call it radical, but it's definitely not as common as I wish it were, because it benefits everybody, not just parents. Sydney, what do you think? And then I'm going to kick it to you, Gina.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think there are, let me put it this way. I talk with a lot of job seekers every single day, and I hear a lot about what's in the news in terms of like return to work. And, we always see the big headlines, right, of these like major shifts that are happening again in the market and at the organizational level. But that doesn't mean that that's happening everywhere. And so, like Karina is saying, there are some organizations that do it really well and that really value their employees, and they try to create a culture of support. And I think having things in place and having that communication is really important. And there's the kind of systemic level, the organizational level of creating policies that support not just working parents, but everybody as a whole. And working hours is one way to do that. But I also think too about, like return from work specifically, or coming back from maternity leave, and having a culture where having a psychologically safe culture where you can communicate with your supervisor, communicate with your team about what you need and feel like you're going to be heard. That's also really important, because there's a lot of change that happens in first couple of years of motherhood, and what you need for the first 6 months might be different than what you need for the second 6 months. And we all know you're going to go through sicknesses and things within that first year. Like it's an ebb and a flow. And so I think if that culture and that environment is there to have an open communication policy in place and to develop that kind of a structure, that makes a huge difference for both the employee and the environment.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And Gina, you have also a lot of experience with this too.
Yeah. And a lot of it too, is like I was working across a team of a blend of employees and a blend of contractors, a blend of freelancers, and getting everyone on the same page was not so viable, like for a 5-hour chunk of every day, right? It was more like this certain day, this certain morning, we have a stand-up call or a weekly. Yeah. And everyone's talking about like the support and like anything you can plan for as a parent. But for me, it's like I struggled to find confidence in all those fall throughs and all those like today didn't go as planned. So and so didn't show up. My daughter's sick and I'm going to be sick in 3 days, and just like not feeling guilty through that. And like that's somewhere where I wish I would have like known what to say or what to do as that was happening to me. Yeah, like over and over. It was like a cycle, right? That's
Yeah, no, I agree. And as much as we can talk all day about what workplaces could or should or can be or dream board vision it, at the end of the day, if a working mom is in the thick of it right now, she can't wait for a workshop to come or some HR training to better create a culture. So if you had to tell a working mom what she can say better to help herself, what would you tell her?
To find who on your team can support you. One, like try to delegate some more of what you can in those times and try to not hold your like full capacity, because that's another thing in the system is like so many systems expect us to be like 80% productive or 65% productive. I mean, I've seen it different across different roles and different companies, but is that true? And is that true for a mom who's already working with a little bit less of herself or capacity or time in the day and setup of care? And yeah, because where I'm at in the Midwest, it's very all or nothing. Like we don't have part-time options. We don't have flexible options. We have to go find our own college students or help. that are probably going to take half of our wage to have with us.
Yeah.
It's like, so like, it's like, I also have like a regional challenge, and I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of us are like out west here or on the East Coast, and I don't know what the like society structures are like as well. But for me, it was just something like I was uncertain every time it happened, and I was just like, I should be able to change this, especially like at something that's partially my own company, right?
Hmm.
And still I felt like I couldn't, and I just kind of felt that cycle over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. We're really hard on ourselves as moms. That's
Hmm.
something we all kind of struggle with. I really want to talk more about, we're all some shape of working motherhood, right? We either work in corporate still, or we've started our own business, or do some sort of freelance. And so I really want to get more tactical on what advice we can give to someone who's trying to balance working motherhood and figure it out. Like, what systems have you put in place so that you can find a better rhythm to work and motherhood, so that you don't have to necessarily scale back what you're doing, but you can still do it all?
I can share one.
Yeah.
So there's a book that I love and I read before I left my full-time position called Real Self-Care.
Mm.
It's by Pooja Lakshmi. And when I say life-changing, I don't want to sound cliche, but truly it changed my view on how
Mm.
I approach working motherhood and showing up in both places. Because the premise of the book is about that self-care isn't just a massage or getting your nails done or reading a book or going for a walk. It's not like those micro things, yes, can help in the immediate, but long term, that is not taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is putting the systems in place to make sure that you can show up in the way that you need to in your life as a whole. And there are a lot of individual kind of reflection points within the book where it asks you to think about how things are going in your work and how things are going at home and what your responsibility load looks like, and to take a very hard look at those things to figure out, is this sustainable for me or not, and do I need to make changes in certain areas? And like I said, I read this book in the midst of leaving my full-time position. And it was this like awakening of just, oh my gosh, yeah, this isn't working for me anymore. And I loved my job. Like I absolutely loved what I did, but the system wasn't working anymore for me. So I guess I would just say, I know reading a book maybe is not, we don't all have the time to do that, but buy it on audiobook or yeah, I would say buy it on audiobook because it's a really, really good place to start and just start thinking about, am I set up the way that I want to be set up? Or are there some bigger questions I need to be asking myself about where I want to
Mhm.
be and how I want to spend my time right now?
Wow, I love it. What was the name of it? I'm gonna literally write it down.
It's called Real Self-Care.
Real self-care. I love it. Okay, wrote it down so I actually won't forget it now. I love it. I think that's, I actually think I just saw a LinkedIn post today about how when working moms get a day off, they take zero self-care at all. And not surprising, but, and like you said, self-care is more than just going and getting a pedicure, as nice as that is. It's more long-term systems. I love that. Brittany, what do you think?
We have a
Oh,
very
Gina, yeah.
good comment here from Hadley. I just want to bring up,
Yeah.
and it's talking about rubber balls and glass balls and leading by example. And so, for example, my child is sick. That's my priority right now. That's a glass ball. Like this is non-negotiable, right? Like this has
Mm-hmm.
to happen. And once they're asleep, which is another glass ball, it will happen at some point. We'll move this meeting to next week, which is a rubber ball, which is like a contingency, right? And having consistency in that. So, like, all managers are on that same page and treat people in that more
Mm-hmm.
empathetic and compassionate way, because what happens is you have one manager that will do that and another that's just like, absolutely not, like, we're picking up your slack, or you're not
Yeah.
available enough, or right, you get like those mixed messages within. And yeah, getting like the management level and leadership on the same page is really important there, I would believe. Yeah, because that's, with me, it always felt like a lot of mixed messages. Like, is this even okay? That's what I mean when I say uncertainty. It's like I never knew if it was okay, and I felt like it wasn't. And
Mm.
it was, yeah. Yeah. So it's, yeah, that was just a really good comment I wanted to bring up in our thread. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hadley.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, Hadley. I really agree. Boundaries are so important, and setting them, communicating them, and holding yourself and your manager to them as well, so that it's this group accountability. That's really important.
Also, just add finding community is also, I think, big. So I'm actually part of a group called Career Mamas. It is, ambitious women, high performing, doing amazing things in their careers, but also are really want to show up at home too and be really great moms. And just having, it's a Slack channel community with some really great resources and online as well. And just having people who are in the same life stage as you to bounce ideas off of, and maybe even just be able to talk about a really rough day that maybe you're having, with your kid or at work or whatnot. But really just to find people that are experiencing the same things as you. And it kind of does give that strength, and also just a space to talk about it, which I think many of us probably have experience where it's just, where do you talk about these things? And really that support is so important, especially in these earlier stages.
Yeah, that's so important. And because so many of us go through the same things. We go through very similar struggles. But I had no mom group when I first had my kids, and I was just sitting by myself Googling everything all hours of the night, and had no one that I could be like, is it normal that he poops, after every single feeding, and like 12 times a day? And nobody to ask. But I want to pivot super quickly, because that you touch on something really important about ambitious career moms. And a lot of us, before we have kids, we have this dream, we have this goal of where we want our careers to go. And then we have kids and something kind of changes. Either we are more ambitious, or we have to pivot because our career, our job, our work isn't supporting us. And so we have to pivot to something that we can push our ambition into, whether it's starting your own business or freelancing or just finding another job that is supportive. And so I really want to touch on how you guys have balanced what happened after you had kids, and how you've sort of, like, the dichotomy of before kids and after kids, pre-kids ambition and now mom ambition, and the difference that you've seen in those two things.
I'll go, because I was gonna kinda tie into what everybody else was talking about, but when I became a mom, also the tail end of COVID, like 2021, I had my daughter, and then shortly thereafter, my first husband, decided, like, this wasn't for him, we separated, and I remember sitting in an apartment that I had just moved into with my 6.5-month-old by myself on a therapy call going, "This is not how I thought motherhood was gonna go." And having had a working mom growing up, it was just really tough, like, to just process everything that was happening, but I recognized that I needed to sit with myself and better understand, what does motherhood look like for me? And
Hmm.
what does that mean? And how can I show up? And what does it mean to be a good enough mom? Because we're not striving for perfection, right?
Right.
We can't. You shouldn't in career, you shouldn't in anywhere, because you'll never hit perfection, right? You're always going to be chasing something. And so recognizing, like, what does good enough look like for me? And just because I have to do something I didn't expect to, doesn't mean my daughter's gonna be any less loved, and doesn't mean, all of these inner stories and fears and everything came to the surface. And so I think my heart goes out to moms who are like, I just don't know. After I have a kid, who am I, right? Like what am I? What do I want to do? I don't know. I'm not even getting enough sleep to function, right? So, I think being able to take a step back and listen to what your body and mind and heart are telling you, and like assess, is this real? Is this true? Is this just temporary? I guess I'm going to advocate, like, I think going to therapy is really important,
Mhm.
especially postpartum. And I
Yep.
don't think that's a conversation that's talked about a lot. Postpartum depression, rage, anxiety, it shows up in very interesting ways and in ways you don't ever expect. And so as women, I think we're already very like, I'm going to do things myself. Like, I've got this. And then you become a mom, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I've got this. And then you're, at 2 a.m., you're like, what is happening? And why won't you go to sleep? And what is, I don't understand. So, community, boundaries, like all of that is so important. But like, really, truly making time to better understand, like, what is it that I'm thinking, feeling, and saying to myself, and are these things true? And what does this look like moving forward? Because not everybody has I didn't have the opportunity to just, oh, I'll go get a new job or I'll
Mhm.
freelance, or I had no backup, right? Like I didn't have, a support system in place for me at that time. I think really having to deal with intense changes in an intense time. And this isn't to say like, oh, I'm so amazing, but I just feel like there's a lot of women who are afraid to seek help. Like if you have EAP benefits, use them. No shame in that. Go talk to somebody, find a community. Do it for yourself and for your children, I think is really important. That was a really random soapbox. I guess I needed to stand on for a moment, but I think it's really important.
Oh, no, so beautifully said, and I mean, you touched on a few different really cool things, but one, the mental health and postpartum depression, anxiety is very real. Postpartum is such a rough time for us. But just being okay with not being okay for a
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
right? Sitting in that feeling of, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm struggling right now, or I'm having a hard time, and not striving for perfection, right?
Yeah.
Not every day has to be the best day. Some days can be hard, and as long as
Mhm.
you're working towards better days, and you can keep in mind that this day is just one day,
Yeah.
right? And your kids are still loved, and
Yes.
that's the goal.
Yes.
Sydney, you keep nodding your head.
Well, I think, it goes back to Karina's point about community because even even after I had my second and we're still in this first year, you still question, even if you've already done it before with another kid, there's still questions of like, but am I doing it right? Or like, but we didn't do this with the first one, so should we try it with the second one? There's still so many things that come up. And I think that community wherever you find it. If it's neighbors, if it's family that's nearby, if it's a mom group. I recently learned about Momco and I'm super excited to try that out. Or if it's a career mamas group, like Karina's talking about, like wherever that support can come from or that community, I absolutely agree. I think you already feel so lost and unsure of yourself and unsure of who you are and where you want to go that just to be in the same room of other moms who are like, yep, I don't know what I'm doing either. Like, I also feel lost is just, I think, really validating. And as somebody who went through postpartum depression and anxiety, had I had community at that point, I think I would have gotten through it much quicker. But I absolutely learned the second time around, like, I cannot do this without community. I cannot come out of this massive life change and massive life experience without surrounding myself with good people who are going to be there when I need it most.
I love that. Yeah, community is so important. And I want to ask, because you do career coaching for moms, and that's really that pivotal moment of that career and ambition, and where we are often alone and don't have that community yet. How are you seeing some of that ambition in moms change? that when you're helping them find different pivots?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think there's, everybody's situation is different, and I very much coach, like I very much develop relationships with my clients to really understand where each person is at. But generally speaking, I think about our career and motherhood in seasons. There are seasons where it's a little bit harder in each of those, and it ebbs and flows as you go throughout your life. And a lot of times I meet with women who are like, I don't know what to do because I'm super ambitious and I want to jump for the next, level up. I want to go into the next thing. I want to be pushed. I want to be challenged. But is that going to take me away from my kids and how much time I can spend at home? And that is a personal choice to decide what's going to be feasible. It depends on the industry, it depends on the organization, right? There's a lot of factors at play there. But I think just that conversation is very common. Do I move up or do I take a lateral move so that I can spend a little bit more time at home with my kids? And what would those different scenarios look like? So I guess, in terms of trying to give tactical advice or give specifics. Where I focus with clients is it comes down to what is most important to you right now. Is moving up in your career right now most important, or is having, ample amount of time with your kids or as much time with your kids as you want, is that, and there is no right or wrong answer in that. But again, it comes in seasons, right? So like I'll give myself as an example. I have little kids at home. I am not looking to like scale up and create this like massive business because I don't want that. I want to have the flexibility. I want the schedule. I want to be able to show up, be there for my kids and my family while also doing what I love. So it's not the time for me to like blow up right now. And I don't want that. So it's those kinds of questions, but for some people it is. They're like, I feel like things at home are good. I feel like they're stable. I'm ready to jump for the next thing. But it's just asking yourself the question, what is most important right now?
Yeah, that's definitely, and everyone's going to be so different, right? Every mom's going to be in a different phase of life, in a different season, like you said, of not wanting to do more, not wanting to take on more. And I think one of the really important things to remember is that it's going to change, right? It's going to ebb and flow. When you first come back from maternity leave, if you're 3 months of leave and you come back, you have a 3-month-old. Your life is going to be a lot different than in 6 months and a year from then, when your baby's sleeping through the night and you're not pumping or breastfeeding all the time still, and there's no more mental fog. You kind of maybe are out of any postpartum depression phase, and so your capacity to take on more projects at work is going to vastly change the farther away you get from the postpartum era. And so, Karina, I want to kick it over to you because from an HR perspective, career mapping and outlining your career goals with your manager is so important. And when you go on maternity leave and you come back, sometimes you have to like take a step back and say like, I can't have all of this load right now. This is too much. How have you seen that play from an HR perspective when a mom comes back from leave? And by all means, she may have more ambition. It just, that first part, it's gonna change in the beginning, right?
Yeah. So I think it's having a really strong onboarding plan, and just and the way I like to work with managers is that reminder of, uh, you know, stuff has happened since they've been away. They might need some just to reacclimate back to getting back into email, like getting back into the rhythm of the meetings, because while maybe the business has been thrumming along at high speed, the life at home is a lot slower, and you really are just, you're coming from a world of just, when's the next diaper change? When's the next bottle going to be fed? How long did they sleep? Did they sleep long enough? Like, that's just, it's a lot slower in many ways. So jumping back in full throttle to like everything can be a lot. So it's around giving some ramp up time for that employee to just get back into the projects, understanding that, they might have more questions, and also just keeping out open dialogue, because, even when the ambition is there, like me just chatting with the employee to make sure that they really are ready to jump into that project and lead it, instead of me being like a member of the project, for instance, and just talking with them, and giving them some grace.
Yeah.
Why can't all managers be like you? That would be so wonderful. A plan. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
More Alexis everywhere.
I want to say that's literally what I teach in one of my workshops. So it's kind of like a loaded question, but it is so important to just hear it from an HR perspective as well, right? That this isn't, it's not rocket science. It's not radical ideas. It's treating people with humanity and empathy and compassion, especially as more of us experience parenthood and working parenthood. Is how do we make it easier for everybody so that we don't burn out and quit or get forced out or just struggle worse. So we're coming up on 45 minutes, and I really want to wrap up with, if you could give one best piece of advice to a working mom, either just starting a working motherhood, maybe she's decided to start her own business, or maybe she's jumping back into work for maternity leave. And if you had to give your best piece of advice to her, what would it be? Brittany, I'm just going to kick it off to you.
Great.
We're going to go
Already
around.
have it. My lactation consultant. Those are also important. You can tell I was a doula, right? So she told me never make a decision on a bad day. I was really struggling with pumping and feeding my daughter and all of these things, and just like, I can't do this. And she goes, that is a fine choice if that's really what you want to make, but let's not make a decision on a bad day. And I thought that has carried me into literally every other season and area of my life, because sometimes we can just be spinning out and want to quit or do something drastic, or who knows. And I just tell myself, I can honor any choice I choose to make, but I'm not going to make a decision on a bad day, because I might feel different. And maybe I just need a nap.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Can we all get a nap?
And our kids, if they can nap, long naps. May we all be blessed with long naps.
2 hours minimum.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing. I love it. What a great piece of advice. Thank you, Brittany. Gina, kicking it over to you.
So for me, like, I know we talked about therapy just on the surface. That's really important. Just self-reflection is so important. Like, it's really easy at this time to be caught up in work, kids, husband, family time, and that's it, and see nothing else for you. It is really easy to like feel trapped there. So zooming out and just self-care, what do I want? Like, that, I never asked myself that question, I feel like, before I had my kid. Like, it's like I want a kid, but I never asked myself, like, what do I want? What do I want to do with my job after this? What do I want to do? Yeah, what does that dream look like for me? It's so wherever you have your own peace and can kind of step back and reflect and ask yourself that, just like, because the instincts, like, they come out in all those crazy ways, and you don't understand why unless you pause and kind of start to answer, like, do I have to, or do I want to? And right, it's like, and just kind of map out what your options are.
So good. So important. Therapy, self-awareness, self-reflection, taking time to really think. I love it. Sydney, what do you got for us?
I'll pull on the therapy thread too. This is something my therapist told me. And it's something I've been struggling with. And so she said, I feel like in this phase and subsequent phases too, sometimes you feel like you're on the hamster wheel of just like all the things all the time. There's not enough hours in the day. You're just like constantly doing something all the time. And I forget to like feed myself. I forget to drink water. I forget to like go outside and, touch grass or get sunshine on my face, whatever. I'm the last person always, like Gina's saying. And so she said to ask myself, what do you need in this moment right now to take care of yourself? And that could be, I need to just sit outside and drink some water, or I need to lay down for 10 minutes, or I need to get a snack, or just take a drive, or whatever. But like, I think a lot of us feel that hamster wheel for several different reasons, but just asking yourself that question, what can I do in this moment to take care of myself, gives you that pause that Gina was talking about, and just gives you some space to remember that you also are a person, you also have needs, and you also, can take care of yourself in the process of doing all these other things.
I love it. Karina.
You know your kid. You're going to get advice from every single person in your life about what the right decisions are. There is so much content online saying opposite things many times. And ultimately, you know your kid the best, and you are the most perfect person to make the best decision for them. So just holding on to that strength and holding on to that confidence, because everyone will tell you made the wrong decision, but you made the one that you know is going to be right for you and your family.
I love it. So true. And I think I'm just going to wrap it up and say, I think not comparing ourselves to others. I think that's a really hard one in the age of social media, to open our Instagram or whatever, TikTok, and see all these other working moms, and they have this seemingly perfect life that's all picturesque, right? And we're comparing ourselves. If you're starting a new business, you're like, oh, I should be XYZ revenue already, or I should be already bringing in clients, or I should already be doing whatever it is. Or if you're back at your job, you're comparing yourself. Why am I not able to function as well as this mom over here, right? And I think that really brings us down. And it's okay to be at your level. Everyone goes through working motherhood at a different pace, in a different way. And the more we can just honor ourselves and our own experience and not compare it to others, the better experience we'll have with it in general. All righty. Well, this has been amazing. I just want to wrap it up and have you guys all go around one more time. And if you can just go around and say where anyone can find you, or if you are taking on new clients at the moment, or whatever it is you are doing in your life and business, or just connect and chat more. I'm going to go backwards. Karina.
Sure. So just connect, connect via LinkedIn. Happy to have a coffee chat. Also always looking for more speaking opportunities. And I am also on the job hunt. So I am looking for a opportunity as well. So if there's anyone listening in that, knows of HR leadership roles, I'd love to chat.
Love it. Sydney.
Somebody better scoop Karina up before she's off the market.
Agreed.
You seem wonderful. I would say, so I am taking on some new clients for the end of this month, early October. I'll have some spots available. So if you are feeling stuck in your career, whether it's this, you've just come back from maternity leave, or you've been in your role for a little while and just feel like you need a pivot, I am taking on some new clients. I also would love to do some workshops. I really love the team optimization, employee engagement side of things, like how teams can really thrive and work better together, and learning how we all operate and why we choose to go about projects in a certain way, or what projects are the best fit for us. Those things are always really exciting to me. So if your team or organization has a need for that, I would love to come in and help your team optimize your processes and your efficiency. And then I would say connect. this past year has been so fun connecting with people on LinkedIn and sharing content. And so I would say connect, send me a message. I'd love to just chat and meet more amazing moms in this space.
I love it.
I've met you, I think. Or I've liked your stuff. So, yeah.
I am always taking on about 2 people a month and a more transactional way. And then once a quarter, I look for something a little bit bigger and more dynamic with a bigger content library or team library or things like that. In terms of websites, I work on WordPress, Wix, and Squarespace sites. And also, I love the elements of branding. How are you going to say what you do clearly? What do you care about? And what are the things you're going to talk about and anchor this brand in, and just helping people define that and make that flow through to their website and all their profiles. So yeah, I'm here on LinkedIn at Creative with Gina, and I'm also on Instagram and Medium fairly actively.
I love it. And last but certainly not least, Brittany.
Awesome. I am actually going back to school, getting my master's in counseling. So I am looking to take on just a handful of clients to coach kind of as I transition, I guess, in this phase. I have young kids, might as well just throw more things into the mix. So would love to kind of grow that piece, get those reps in, and just help women in a transition, whether that's motherhood or, as I've mentioned previously, navigating a divorce or some sort of life altering, changing event. Really passionate about bringing women and coming alongside them through that journey. You can find me on LinkedIn. I love to connect. And this has been really wonderful. So thank you so much for having me. Would love to do more of this. This is super fun.
I love it. Awesome. And I have a few more spots open for the rest of this year, just a couple more for our October through December for workshops. If you're interested in one of my workshops, the Reentry Blueprint or the Parent Forward Culture Workshop, a couple more spots open. And I think that's going to close out today's first roundtable of the Working Parent Roundtable series. So I just want to say thank you so much. This has been just so amazing to talk about working motherhood and reshape, rethink how we all experience it, and that it's not a weakness, it's not a liability in workplaces. It's one of our greatest strengths, actually. And we could talk about leadership and resilience and our many motherhood skills all day. So this is just the very beginning of the series, and we'll have one each month. So I'll make sure to post the next events shortly. And I just want to thank all of you guys. Thank you, panelists, for joining us and sharing your expertise and experiences. This has been really moving, and thank you for being a part of this movement, and for everyone tuning in, thank you as well. So that when we reshape working parenthood, we're not just making life better for parents, we're reshaping work and the future of cultures for everyone. So I've been very, very excited to bring this episode to you guys and everyone live watching. Thank you. I'm Alexa Starks. This is just the beginning of our Reshaping Working Parenthood series. Stay tuned for next month. And that's it for now. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alexa.
Bye.
Okay.